Welcome to Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus. As you can see, I'm down in Atlanta. Not hot Atlanta, but cold Atlanta. Weather was bad. I couldn't move, so I'm doing the show from here. It's still going to be a good show, so get your treats. Come back and enjoy the show. We'll be back in a moment.
Turnover goes,
Yes.
is you want to try to avoid turnover, but unfortunately sometimes you have to make moves, and depending on the moves that you make, you look around and then all of a sudden you realize that you have a lot of turnover, and it's hard. So I feel like it's imperative that we keep a lot of guys that we have, those guys that can really get it done, and those guys that are growing and have those guys that have a lot of potential to be really, really amazing. Well, of course, we want Kirk here. We believe in him. We think he's one of the best guys in the locker room. He's a great leader. He's everything you want in a quarterback, and you can't ask for any more. But to have him around is amazing. But unfortunately, we don't have any say-so. That starts up top with Snyder and Bruce and Gruden. It's up to those guys, and it's up to Kirk as well. If they can all come to a mutual agreement on a contract that works best for both parties, then I'm sure we'll see Kirk back around here. But hey, it's business, the nature of the business. We all know how that goes, and like I said, hope for the best, prepare for the worst.
Focus now is to do what we can this off season, OTAs, the training, whatever we got to do to try to get us past 500 and a winning team, playoff team. The goal shouldn't be to go 8-8. The goal should be to go to the playoffs. That's sort of some of my message. Sort of in the previous weeks when I say we don't practice well or prepare well, that's to the players. I feel that way. I still feel that way. So I feel like in order for us to get over the hump to get to be a playoff team, players, we have to pay attention to more details. You got to do the small things right. You got to practice harder. When days you don't feel like practicing, you got to do the small things well. And if we do those things as a whole team, it'll only get better.
I don't know what's missing. It's like I said, I don't know that. I really couldn't get the makeup of this team. You go to Seattle and win, beat them. Go to New Orleans up 15 with 2 minutes left. I really don't know the makeup of the team. I don't know what it needs. I have no idea.
Yeah, I just saved a whole lot of money by switching to Geico.
Huh. We should take a closer look at Geico.
Geico insures way more than cars, boats, motorcycles, even RVs.
Geico insures RVs? What's an RV?
The thing we've been stuck on for 5 years.
Wait, I'm not a real moose?
We've been over this, Jeff.
We're stickers.
I'm not a real moose.
Give him some space.
Deep breaths, Jeff.
What's a sticker?
Take a closer look at Geico. Great savings and a whole lot more.
Well, welcome back to the show. And as you can see, and I did do an opening, that I am in Atlanta. I got bad weather, bad friends, and I'm covering a bad team. Couldn't make it up there. Couldn't afford to pay all the people and cover myself. This way, we're doing it remote. But really, we're trying to do some different things on the show, and I think this will work out well. I got some questions for you guys. Hey, Gary, the other guys don't know a lot about this, especially Mike and Donna, so I asked you since you're kind of an expert on this. But they say stats are for losers, and you guys were a great offensive team when you played, and you always led other teams in the offensive category. Now, almost in every game, every category, these guys were behind their opponents. So you telling me, does that mean the Redskins did not have the talent? Now, Kirk threw for over 4,000, but at the same time, it's the talent level, it's the coaching. I mean, what do you have to say about this?
When it really comes down to it, you really just got to look at the record. The record tells you what the stats are going to be. You can have great stats, you can have low stats, but at the end of the day, only thing that matters is the wins and losses. And unfortunately, this year, we finished up 7-9. Not quite the type of year that we wanted to have, but stats, they're only good when you win at the end of the day.
No question. I agree with that totally. You know, Donna, they haven't been listening to you the way that they should because your sources are always wrong. But, you know, when you talk about Kirk Cousins, should he go or stay? And when you look at it, is this guy a franchise player? Do you want to put $34 million in it? I want to get your opinion and your source's opinion. But if you ask me, no, he should be packing now.
That's the reason, Tony, that you came to me to ask me the question, and no one is listening to you. But you know what? This is a team that Kurt is comfortable with. And the thing about it is the Redskins would have signed him 3 years ago, we wouldn't be talking about this. But this is a quarterback. Earlier during the season, I would have said no and agreed with you. But I think he should stay here in Washington. I think that they should work it out. Kurt has to bend some also, along with the Redskins bending. They have to come together and agree on an amount because this is going to be a good relationship on down the road for them. Gruden talked about during the last 2 weeks that they should sign him to a longer contract, not this one-year deal backwards and forwards. And I agree with him there because they've got to get some stability there, you know, in the quarterback position. But I think, Tony, that Kurt may possibly be back here come next year, and not just a one-year deal, but a longer deal. And I think that Kurt wants to be back here also. And as Gary was saying earlier, he fits this system. And if you go somewhere else, you may not fit that system so well.
Well, it don't seem like, I mean, he's talking about money and everything, so it's telling me that if he get the right money, he's gone. So I don't know if it is a good fit. I kind of disagree with you on this. You need to go back to those secondhand sources you have and give me a better answer.
Well, whoa, Tony, before you go away right now, let me just go back. He is considering bending a little bit as far as the money situation because he knows that he's not going to be able to get that $34 million and be able to sign other players because this team needs so many other, players. And if they sign Kurt to this big deal, they're not going to be able to sign these other players. But we'll see, Tony. But I think that he fits here still, and he wants to be here.
Okay. Hey, make sure that Paul keeps a record of that because we're going to call you out on the set.
I want
when
you
it doesn't
to.
Happen. You know, Mike, it's 15 free agents, restricted free agents on the Washington Redskins right now, and they have a short time until it'll be time that they have to make a decision how they go on the market. Now, if you look at these 15 free agents and you look at the record and you look at what they contribute, who do you think you should try to sign?
Well, I can tell you one thing. I can only surmise what the run defense would have been without Zach Brown, because once he got hurt, Tony, the Redskins were a sieve when it came to the running game. I mean, other teams amassed over 200 yards several times. So I think you've got to sign Zach Brown. I think he's the #1 priority. Also, Bashaud Breeland. I know a lot of people think that we should let him walk. I don't. I think we need to sign Bashaud Breeland. It's been a long time since we've had a couple of really good corners. What I would look at doing, Tony, is I would look at the possibility of letting Josh Norman go. There is an out in his clause after this season. And again, that's an awful lot of money. And statistically speaking, this is not a winning team, even though he's on it. And I might just promote Kendall Fuller, who had 4 interceptions, as the slot corner. I might put him over on the other side and maybe draft somebody. That would be my first priority. Junior Gallette's going to be up. I think that as the end of the season progressed, he seemed to be playing himself back into shape. He had several sacks. I would definitely go after him and bring him back next year. And there's at least 2 other ones that I really like. But I think basically the supporting cast from the last 2 drafts will fill in. And I'd go after those 3 in a big way. And I'd look at possibly letting Josh Norman go. What do you think about that, Adam?
Well, actually, I would hold on to Norman. I think when you have a corner as good as he is, he could, I mean, in the NFC East, you have to play against Dez Bryant, you have to play against Odell Beckham. So you want somebody there who could stop them in the passing game. But I guess, I mean, I would not pay Kirk Cousins the kind of money that they're asking for. He's asking for based on what happened the last 3 games. And also, I think Kendall Fuller really could step up and play well at times, and I would hold on to him as well. So.
Yeah. Well, Kendall's still under contract, so I just move him over.
Right.
Tony, what do you think about it?
I kind of like Zach Brown because he was the meat in the heart of the middle of that defense. Breland is coming on. Fuller is, he's a good slot. We can see what he do out there one-on-one. Gillette, he did start coming on the end of the year, but remember, right, he's still on the end with 1 or 2 sacks. Josh Norman, I'm kind of agreeing with you on that only because of the money. As far as the player, I'd like to see him on the team. I think he adds a lot of things to it, but at the same time, I saw him get beat too many times for the kind of money that he's making. I would only let him go so I can get other players. It's something like that RG3 thing when they gave up all the draft choice, and then the person they gave him up for got hurt. So you got Josh Norman, who has a lot of money out there, and he costs a lot of money, and he didn't play as well as he usually could, but he did get hurt as well. Now, if you look at the whole thing, though, I don't know why you're looking at all defensive players. How about Pryor? Is he up? They need to let him go. That's another big contract to me. But at the same time, I just think that they need to keep this core that you have. You've hit some great points, and Adam, you right on. But as far as Cousins, to solve everything, you don't pay him all that money.
Well, Tony, we got a couple more questions for you. We're going to ask you to stay with us, and we'll be right back after this. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the famous Tony Mac the Sack McGee on the phone from Atlanta. Tony, I have a question for you, and this is a tough question. Do you think the loss of Jonathan Allen, Will Compton, Mason Foster, Trent Murphy, I mean, those are 4 bona fide starters, contributed to the fact that the Redskins yielded over 2,000 yards rushing this year? Opponents had over a 4-yard per carry average. Was that the factor at play here, or the Redskins just awful against the run?
Well, you know what, Mike, it may have been a factor at play, but at the same time, you start mentioning those guys' names. Allen, he didn't make that big of a noise when he was out there. He had a couple of good games, so okay. Mason Foster, you said he was good earlier in the year, but he had injuries that holds him back. Will Compton, I didn't even know he was gone, okay, let's be real. And Trent Murphy, I think, could have been a big difference to the team. Now everybody's getting on him because he was on a little juice, but at the same time, he's still a very good player. That could be part of the reason, Mike, but those other players that was left, that's the major part of the reason, because whoever's out there, they're getting paid to perform. Hey, G, I'm going to have to talk to you, man, and give me the 100 on this one. Other than getting rid of Pryor, and I mean right away, what do you think they should do with this receiving core, and what can they do to improve Josh Dobson's play? He had flashes, but what does he need to work on all season? But I'm starting off with, other than getting rid of Pryor, what else should they do?
Well, I think the receiving core is okay. I think you can't honestly leave it intact. I think they didn't have a bad year. It's just a matter of the different routes that you put them on the run. At the end of the day, I mean, we're running the West Coast offense. It's a horizontal offense. You got everybody running 5-yard, 10 yards. Every now and then we're running a 15-yard route, but for the most part, we're running 5-yard routes to 10-yard routes. So I think the receiving core is fine. I think Josh Dotson is going to be a star in the making, quite honestly. I think in 3 years from now, he'll be a household name, without a doubt. He'll be one of the people that people talk about like they do Des Bryant in Dallas. We'll be talking about him here in Washington the same way. I like our receiving core. I think just got to give him more opportunities to catch the ball for more than a 2-yard, 5-yard, 10-yard gain. Go vertical, go down the field, and I think you'll see one of the best receiving cores that's in the NFL, quite honestly, because the guys are all capable. I like our receiving core.
I like it. If you say you like him, then I can go with him. Now, Mike, give me the same answer to that question. What do you?
Well, I agree with Gary. I mean, I tell you, you get a quarterback that can throw downfield. You know, there's this big debate that's going on not only in sports columns but around the league. How many times did Kirk check down at the line of scrimmage? Because I think that's a frustration that Jay Gruden has with him, that there were a lot more deeper routes, but the reality of it all was that Kirk would check down and wanted to play it safe. He did take a few more chances toward the end of the year, but I'm going to count 25 balls over 30 yards in an entire season. That's what I'm counting roughly. What do you think, Donna?
Well, I agree with you as far as to a certain degree as far as him going downfield. But the thing about it is, if the offense is not called for him to go downfield, it's not all on Kirk to go downfield. If they're calling, like Gary said, those 2 to 5 to 10 yards, and they did that all year long, they didn't even really go downfield, or the offense wasn't even designed for them to go downfield a lot. Sometimes maybe, but for the majority of the time, it was those little, 20 yards at the max.
You know, Don, I'm going to ask you because you probably will agree with me on this, but it's early. Do you think it's too early for the Redskins to start thinking about drafting the quarterback in the upcoming draft? And are there any quarterbacks there that's worth drafting?
Well, Tony, I think with the Kurt situation that is unclear if they're going to sign him back, it's never too early as far as to be thinking about looking at the draft, because I personally thought that they should be looking there anyway if Kurt didn't want to stay and start grooming. It's 3 good quarterbacks out there that's coming out of the draft. Now, the Redskins may not be able to get those quarterbacks because of where they fall in the draft. You've got the Oklahoma quarterback that's coming out, one of the best, and then you've got a couple of more that's coming out that would be good. And so if you're looking to get somebody out of the draft, I think you should be thinking about moving up in the draft to possibly get one of those guys. But it's uncertain what the Redskins are going to do, but they need to be thinking about that and quickly, with the draft coming up in April.
Can I get Adam and myself involved in this question, Tony?
That's up to you.
Well, you know what my name is. It's Baker, and I want Baker Mayfield. I'm sorry.
I knew you would do something like that, Mike. It is not worth it.
Adam, what do you think?
It's interesting because the one thing we have to keep in mind about Kirk Cousins is over the past 3 years, since he's become their starting quarterback, he has not missed a game because of injury or illness. Okay, so durability has to be a factor when you look at the quarterback position. Look at free agency. Sam Bradford has injury problems. We don't know about Teddy Bridgewater. We don't know about these rookie quarterbacks. I mean, RG3, they gave up all those picks for him. He got injured all the time. Durability has to be a consideration when picking your quarterback.
Tony, let me just jump right back in right there. It is about winning and losing too, also.
Thank you.
Because you can have a quarterback that's doable and whatever, and if they don't win, then guess what? That is not going to mean anything. And RG3 is one of the many quarterbacks that got hurt. But when I'm looking at a quarterback in a situation with this team and the records that they've had over the last decade or so, I'm looking at W's.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, Donna, but again, I think you have to factor in, if you don't play, it doesn't matter how good you are.
Did the Redskins go to the playoffs this year?
No, they didn't, but...
Then guess what? It doesn't matter.
You know what? You guys are going at the right thing, but at the same time, Adam, I got to disagree with you a little bit on that. I know that he did play all the games, but that also leads to why didn't he win more of them? Yes, he had over 4,000 yards, but why didn't he win more of them? So right. I got to go down and say, I'm looking at wins and losses, but at the same time, if there's no one in the draft that can help, don't waste it.
Coney Island has been around for a long, long time. Reminds me of how Geico has been saving people money for over 75 years.
First date? Hey, big guy, come on in. Let me guess your weight. Win a prize.
Sure, why not?
12 ounces?
Sorry, mate, 4 ounces. I've been taking the stairs lately.
You win, big guy.
Sorry. Excuse me.
Wow, he looks so much more real on TV.
Yeah. Over 75 years of savings and service. Get your rate quote today.
Tony, I almost remember the show about 20-some years ago when Monty Coleman was on the show, and I asked you, I said, you know, you got some super linebackers here, Tony. Why don't the Redskins play the 3-4? And you said, Mike, the NFC East is a 4-3 defensive alignment. You're never going to see the 3-4. And then all of a sudden, Mike Shanahan comes in, hires Jim Haslett. He brings in the 3-4, and Greg Williams' top 8 defense now sinks way down into the depths, and we've never had a top 10 defense under the 3-4. You got Kerrigan, you got Murphy, you got Junior Gillette, you got some of these linebackers that might be able to play defensive end. Why wouldn't you go back to a 4-3?
Well, you know, one thing about it, they might be able to play defensive end. They so much similar to I was in New England. When you have a defensive end in the 3-4, you have to have a guy that's kind of big where he can center up on the tackle and do a technique they call two-gap. That means he can go inside or outside. You got some players that, yes, they can pass rush from that position, but at the same time, there's wear and tear on them. That's why you see so many times guys getting outside of them, because they are naturally stand-up linebackers. They're not put your hand in the dirt defensive end. So that's why it doesn't work. But unfortunately, the personnel now is the kind that's conducive to the 3-4, and that's not going to work in that 4-3. Get that 4-3 back out there, get you some tough ends, let them weigh about 265, 275, but make it a 4-man line, and you can stop a lot of other things.
All right, Tony, we're going to take a quick break, come back and get your picks on the playoffs and the rest of the team's picks. We'll be right back.
I'll have the langoustine lobster ravioli.
For you, sir? The original call was for langoustine ravioli. Langoustine is a tiny kind of lobster. Slight shellfish allergy rules that out. Plus, my wife ordered the langoustine. I will have chicken tenders and tater tots.
If you're a ref, you way over-explain things. It's what you do. If you want to save 15% or more on car insurance, you switch to Geico.
Sir, we don't have tater tots.
It's what you do.
I will have nachos.
Ah, the Ravens, never fleeting, still are winning. But when the pests come knocking at your door, and the bees that bumble sound like the roar of the stadium's rumble, and you see the ants and roaches creeping and crawling as the moonlight hits the floor, have no fear, for PMSI will rid you of those pests to scamper and scatter on your floor. Once they treat, nevermore.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the winner of the Sports Bar Challenge with us. He competed against 6 or 7 other restaurants and buried them all. Well, he at least won by 1. Anyway, we have Michael Donqua with us from Hard Times Cafe of Fairfax, one of my all-time favorite places. I know you see me there regularly.
Absolutely.
And I don't know how you could torture me today. You brought 2 of my favorite things in the world. You brought those amazing ribs, which are very meaty and delicious and tender. I don't know how you do that. But then you also brought these amazing nachos, and I was making nachos long before they made corn tortilla chips. These are good-looking nachos. They're not overwhelmed with all the accoutrement. They're just a nice little blend of things with that little dollop of sour cream. And, of course, our big-time producer, Paul Siaski, thinks he's going to guess, but it's all mine. It's all mine. So congratulations on winning the Sports Bar Challenge. You picked every Sunday night game, and you basically essentially beat all these other restaurants. How'd you do that?
Thank you. It's a combination of the whole restaurant getting together and a few of my, what I call football aficionados, and, picking the right teams and pointing me in the right directions and, discussing it. So thank you, but I think it belongs to the whole store.
So the restaurant's doing really well?
Yeah, we're hanging in there. Yeah, we're doing as well as we can do.
Well, this is the big 2 weeks now where there's 4 different NFL playoff games. This is a big time to come into the restaurant, do some ribs, do some chili, do some chips, and we've got to encourage people to try you out.
Absolutely. Hey, we've got all your official Super Bowl fixing and every party, you know, everything. So you let us know, give us a call, let us know when you're coming in, and we'll be glad to have everything ready for you.
So you going to cater a whole Super Bowl party? People you can call and order from the menu and then
yes.
pick everything up for the party?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes, you could.
Oh, man.
Yes.
Oh, I'm going to be calling you on the way home every night and making my order.
Please do so.
I go right by you every night on the way to West Virginia. In any case, good looking order here. Okay, so you got a Super Bowl party coming.
Yes.
Okay, tell me about it.
Well, we've got package deals and great variety of food to pick from. Call any of your local restaurants, the closest one to you, and let them know what you want. Or if you better yet, just go on the web, look at what we're offering, and you know, call us, let us know what you want. Again, if you want to do that, the earlier you call, the better, because it's Super Bowl and our wings are always flying out. The ribs and nachos and everything is going as quick as we make them. So
okay, so people love your food, but everybody watching knows that you beat all these other restaurants in your picks, and they want to know, because there are some bettors out there maybe, they want to know who you're picking to win the Super Bowl. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the master picker.
Okay.
What's it going to be?
I think it's going to be the Patriots.
The Patriots are going to win the Super Bowl, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Michael Dunquois, General Manager of the Hard Times Cafe of Fairfax, thanks so much, and congratulations on winning the Sports Bar Challenge.
Thank you.
You are a gentleman,
Thank
and
you.
he brought food for everybody today.
Yes, thank you.
Paul, you're not getting near this stuff, dude.
I'm excited to announce one of my favorite segments. It's PMSI, of course, Pest Management Service Incorporated. They have the segment what we call What's Bugging You, NFL Fan? So, Ellie, tell us, what's bugging you?
My name's Ellie Gorham, and I'm a female kicker at Hayfield Secondary School. And you know what bugs me? That there are no female players in the NFL. That's what's bugging me.
Hey, Tony, what's up? I hope you got your popcorn ready, because the Giants, Cowboys, and Redskins are all watching the playoffs while the Philadelphia Eagles play on. So what do the Redskins need to do to get back in contention in the NFC East? Well, the draft is coming, and they need to draft well at the skill positions on offense, at wide receiver, running back, and, of course, at quarterback. Now, wide receivers, I like Terrell Pryor, but he's not your number one. So go get James Washington of Oklahoma State or Calvin Ridley of Alabama. At running back, Samaje Perine, okay, but you need somebody who can carry the mail 25 times per game, like a Kerryon Johnson of Auburn or Nick Chubb of the Georgia Bulldogs. And finally, get a veteran at quarterback, then draft a rookie, like Lamar Jackson of Louisville. But that won't happen because he's too much like RG3, and they won't do that again. So, how about Drew Lock of the Missouri Tigers if he declares for the NFL draft? He's a good pick, and he'll put the Redskins in contention for years to come. Next week, we will talk about the Redskins defense in the draft. Have a good week, Tony.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the show this week, and we did it a little different, and we try to be innovative each and every week, especially when the weather's bad. So my tip for this week will be about the games this weekend. You take a look, you better take Atlanta. They will beat Philly. Tennessee, no chance against New England. Then you start in New Orleans, going into Minnesota. It's cold up there in New Orleans. You can't do the dance. Go with Minnesota. Last but not least, Jacksonville and Pittsburgh. If they had a quarterback, I'd say it's a close game. Pick Pittsburgh. So we did a few different things. Hope you like it, but we will be back, and I'll be in the studio next week. Have a great weekend. And I'm not going to say goodbye. I'm going to say in a minute.
We're proud to announce Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus Scholarship Contest is back yet again this year. Eligible candidates will receive laptops if indeed your composition is selected. If you are a graduating high school senior, send in your composition. The subject this year is, what can your generation do to impact how social media has affected our nation's security? So get those essays in.